A lone man standing in front of tanks, never seen again. A masked stranger leaving an empty box at people's doors. And a faceless figure wandering a centuries-old castle. These are mysterious people caught clearly on camera. June 5th, 1989, Beijing. Pro-democracy protests have just been crushed in Tiananmen Square. The streets are tense, and the Chinese military is moving tanks through the city. And then, out of nowhere, a single man walks into the road. He's wearing a white shirt, dark pants, and he's carrying what looks like shopping bags. But he isn't just crossing the street, he stands directly in front of the tanks, stopping them in their tracks. The lead tank tries to go around him, but he moves with it, blocking it. At one point, he even climbs onto the tank, gesturing at the soldiers inside. Nobody knows what he said, or even if he said anything at all. It's all captured on camera, and the footage went around the world almost instantly. But for how famous the image of this man standing in front of these tanks quickly became, we still don't know who he was. Tank Man's identity has never been confirmed, and his fate after that day is a mystery. Some say he was arrested immediately, others think he got away. In March 2025, something weird showed up on a Ring doorbell camera in North Yorkboro, Pennsylvania. A person wearing a homemade mask. It looked like a paper plate with a creepy face and colorful petals taped around it. The person walked up to someone's front door in the early morning hours. He set down a cardboard box, then leaned in close to the camera and said, "I am the box demon. This box is a gift for you." The box turned out to be empty. Police shared the footage and encouraged anyone with info to help figure out who the masked visitor was. Then, just about a day later, authorities announced they'd identified and spoken to the person behind the box demon, but they didn't release their name or explain their motives to the public. So, as for who this person is, we don't know. This image was captured at Chester Castle in England. Nobody knows who or what this figure is. A security guard at Chester Castle got a call from the control room saying that cameras had spotted unusual movement. Normally fearless, his dog, which the security guard described as, quote, the size of a small bear, refused to leave the car, whimpering nervously. When the guard went to investigate, he said he felt 100 eyes on him and felt genuinely terrified. But when he looked around, there was no one, and no signs of anyone entering or leaving the castle grounds. Cameras, however, told a different story. They recorded this strange, faceless figure walking across the area in front of the main gates. It was clearly visible on the footage, moving in a way that no one could explain, and yet no one was physically there when the guard arrived. Staff across English heritage sites have been reporting unusual things for years, from a disembodied hand at Belsley Hall to eerie piano music in the walls of Bolsover Castle, and ghostly figures disappearing into the woods around Russ Park. Louise Fountain, a property manager at Bolsover, said they even keep a ghost book so that staff and visitors can record sightings, sometimes even drawing what they saw. She described cases where visitors felt a child's hand holding theirs, or heard sounds of a bouncing ball long after anyone had left. On November 22nd, 1963, crowds were lining the streets of Dallas, Texas, watching the president's car roll by. Cameras were clicking everywhere, people were filming. In the middle of it all, one woman appeared in photos and footage later nicknamed the Babushka Lady. She wore a headscarf and was standing in a spot where she would have seen everything that happened. She seemed to be holding a camera herself. That means she might have captured one of the clearest angles of the whole thing. The problem, nobody knows who she was. So any photos she took have never been found. The FBI even put out calls for her to come forward, but she never did. Some people think she was just an ordinary bystander. Others wonder if she had a reason for keeping quiet. I mean, it's possible that if anyone wanted certain details hidden, they wouldn't have wanted her images getting out. Whatever the truth, the Babushka Lady remains one of the most mysterious unanswered pieces of that day. This footage doesn't look all that strange. Security footage outside someone's home capturing a woman trudging through the grass. If you didn't know any better, you'd think she lived there, but she doesn't. And the homeowner has no idea who she is or how she got there. The clip comes from Reddit user ConorBon3R, who writes, "Last night, Our security cameras captured a random stranger wandering through our yard. We live up in the mountains, miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by forested mountains with no neighbors nearby. It was pitch black, and the person wasn't dressed for bushwhacking, especially not in the dark. It's seriously the middle of nowhere, and we never see anyone around here. Two parents thought they might have spotted their missing daughter, Lori, 4 years after she disappeared. In 1980, while staying in California, they were watching a documentary and noticed an extra in the film who looked just like her. They tried reaching out to the filmmakers, but they couldn't track her down. The next year, the filmmaker released another documentary called Whatever Happened to Lori Jean Lloyd to raise awareness about the case, but it didn't turn up any new leads. Lori was a teenager in Kettering, Ohio, when she vanished on February 11, 1976. That evening, she'd been babysitting her nephew with a friend. Her mother dropped off a pizza, Lori thanked her, and everything seemed fine. Later that night, Anita returned and realized that Lori was gone. The friend and nephew were asleep, and when the friend woke up, she said Lori had left to walk 3 blocks to a convenience store to buy cigarettes. The employees at the shop never saw her that night, though. Her mother searched the area, but she couldn't find her. Police didn't immediately take the case seriously because Lori had a history of running away, but her family knew that this was different. She always called to check in, and she usually stayed with friends. This time she hadn't. Some friends said Lori had mentioned wanting to move to California with her father and had planned to meet a boy that night who might help her get there. If he existed, no one ever identified him. Lori left behind all her personal belongings, including a small bank account, untouched. For years, her disappearance remained a total mystery. But in 2016, she was tentatively identified as a Jane Doe, found in Grant County, Kentucky, based on dental records. While law enforcement hasn't officially confirmed it, her family did accept that the remains were hers. In Lytham, England, late at night on July 18, 2025, something really strange showed up on a dash cam. It was a nude guy wearing nothing but a black mask and sneakers, just walking through the quiet streets. The footage ended up on a local WhatsApp group and then Facebook, and people couldn't stop talking about it. One local said, "It's a GIMP mask. I've watched the footage. I have no idea what he thinks he's doing." Another added, "In the days after we saw a young man fully clothed walking around the streets, looking up and around, seemingly checking for cameras, we think it's the same man." Lancashire police confirmed that they were reviewing the footage and checking the area, saying, "We are aware of a concerning video circulating on social media of a naked male wearing a face covering walking around Lytham in the early hours of the morning. This incident was not initially reported to police and has only been brought to our attention after it has been viewed on Facebook." What you're looking at here is security footage from Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas, and the person in it has never been identified. On April 18, 2016, 45-year-old fitness instructor Missy Bevers was found dead inside this church. She'd arrived early around 4 a.m. to set up for one of her classes, and by 5 a.m. a student discovered her body. She'd been attacked with multiple puncture wounds to the head and chest, and a hammer was found nearby. The surveillance video taken just before the attack shows someone dressed head to toe in SWAT-style tactical gear, calmly walking through the building. They open doors, they smash windows, and they move with a noticeable limp or kind of awkward gait, like they might be dragging a leg. Police haven't confirmed if the intruder was male or female. Missy's iPad or personal belongings were all untouched though, so this person wasn't there for valuables. There was one suspicious vehicle, a 2010 to maybe 2012 Nissan Altima, seen circling the parking lot at 2 a.m. with headlights flashing, but that driver was never identified. Missy had also gotten some strange messages on LinkedIn from a man before her death. To this day, despite all the footage, the hammer, the tactical gear, and the eerie limp, no one knows who this person was. No one knows who killed Missy Bevers or why. Now, we've talked about this one recently, but it does fit too perfectly into this list to skip. In June 2009, a man using the name Peter Bergman checked into a small hotel in Sligo, Ireland. From the very start, his behavior was strange. Almost all of it was caught on CCTV around the city. Over several days, cameras followed him walking calmly through town, always wearing the same black outfit, carrying a purple plastic bag. He stopped at random locations, pulled items out of the bag, and carefully tossed them into public trash bins. When the man was later found, he had no ID, no labeled clothes, and no traceable documents of any kind. The name Peter Bergman was fake, and they couldn't ask him his real name because all they had was a body. The man was dead. On June 16th, CCTV shows him leaving the hotel for the last time and walking toward a beach. His body was found days later. He drowned, and no one's ever came forward to identify him or explain who he is or why he did what he did. Lars Mittank was a 28-year-old man from Germany. In 2014, he was on vacation in Bulgaria with some friends. After getting into a fight with some other tourists, Lars injured his ear, and a doctor told him that he couldn't fly. His friends went home, leaving him behind alone. And that's when things started to get strange. He texted his mom saying he felt scared and that he thought someone was following him. He asked her to cancel his credit card. A few days later, he went to Varna Airport, planning to fly back home. But during a routine check with the airport doctor, something spooked him. A construction worker reportedly walked into the room, and that's when Lars panicked. The cameras captured him running out of the office. He left his luggage behind, and he sprinted through the terminal, out the doors, and into the nearby woods. As he ran, he reportedly shouted, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." And that was the last anyone ever saw of him. Since then, people have speculated endlessly about what happened. Everything from a sudden psychotic break to a possible kidnapping, but no trace of Lars has ever been found. And that has been the video for today. I will catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.